single dollar they could humanly take. They are either hiding some of the gold for later potential use underground. They're building the undergrounds to hide out for the limited few. Now, what they're going to do is they have to have martial law before this hits the fan. Before it looks like we're going to be completely electronically shut down, and also before, if the possibility of this huge planet swinging close by once more, which it theoretically does every 3,000 years. Now, they have to have some excuse. So some of the junk that we're seeing going on, the crazy, radical, challenging Syria and pushing North Korea and all these other things that potentially any one of which they can cultivate far enough along to where they can declare martial law, and it has to be done before the planet hits the fan, okay? It has to be done. Now, they would not be doing all of this. They've interrupted an awful lot of what we would call the New World Order movement. They've interrupted an awful lot all of a sudden and gotten very seriously with going underground and stealing the money. All right, they wouldn't do that if they weren't absolutely positive that the planet was going to hit the fan. Now, I have unbelievable scientific backup on this Planet X. Not only do we have great photographs of it now that we have the equipment to do it pretty good, which even includes some what we would call amateur astronomers, but we have statements, etc., and going way, way back, and corresponding information. But here's one, again, there's something that I discovered just because I got into this thing and was wondering if this was really possible. The planets in our entire solar system have started heating up, temperature increases, and their orbits are wiggling. They are being affected from Pluto out. In other words, from Pluto coming inwards, but they're heating up from Pluto coming inwards. They are not being heated up by the sun. And this is a scientific fact that's been going on. All of the surface atmosphere, the chemical structure, and the heat, the temperature of all of our planets started a year or so ago going up and started being affected by some body out there beyond Pluto. And that is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about NIBIRU, and we're talking about something that swings through here every 3,600 years. And when it comes close to the Earth, it's going to clean it off like Noah's flood, because that was one of the passes of NIBIRU. That was Noah's floods. And it's going to do a number, and it'll do a number on us ahead of actually being close enough to physically do it with its gravitational.
And when do you think this is going to happen?
Sometime beginning yesterday and probably the first of next year. I don't think, according to the ancient writings from the Himalayas, from the monks up on the top of the hills in the Himalayas, they talked about 2015. I'm saying sometime between, and the reason I say yesterday, because 5 days ago was some of the contracts that the government had put out. For example, for 2,700 riot-controlled trucks and Jeep tanks, 2,700 of them were to be finished and delivered 5 days ago. I'm assuming that they have been. So I have to go. I'm taking schedules of a multitude of directions here, not only ancient writings, but modern science.
Well,
and
Bob,
the government's contract.
Very interesting. We'll have to talk to you when that film comes out. We'll talk again soon. Bob Fletcher, investigations.com. Thank you, Bob.
When worlds collide. Written in the stars is a message of doom for this, our world. And now in the most shattering experience the screen has ever given you, Paramount tells what could happen within your lifetime when worlds collide. An astronomer checks and double-checks his horrifying discovery. A distant star racing through space toward an inevitable collision with this planet. The United Nations meet in emergency session. All conflicts pale before this threat from another world.
If you wait until the danger is visible to the naked eye, it will be too late to escape.
High on a mountaintop, an army of scientists work desperately to build this giant rocket, this modern Noah's Ark, to carry a few picked survivors of our doomed civilization to a new life on another world, reaching the heights of self-sacrifice, the depths of the animal lust for survival as they fight to be among the few who can be saved.
Let's take the ship away from them! Come on!
Fighting among themselves, fighting against time, as doomsday is upon them.
I think all you scientists are crackpots.
Nothing is going to happen.
When worlds collide, you'll see the most amazing, awe-inspiring scenes ever put on film. The forces of nature unleashed in all their terrifying force. Tremendous tidal waves smashing New York City. The molten fires from the bowels of the earth gushing out to consume our world.
Now, what they're going to do is they have to have martial law before this hits the fan, before it looks like we're going to be completely electronically shut down, and also before, if the possibility of this huge planet swinging close by once more, which it theoretically does every 3,000 years.
Something's been bugging me about our little underwater escapade.
There's a lot about that adventure I wish we could forget.
Amen to that.
But the weirdest part of all was what the late Abigail Gluck whispered.
Like I'll say, a crazy mummified corpse whispering NIBIRU is creepy times 10.
It gets creepier. I Googled it and found a lot. Namely this. NIBIRU is a planet listed in the writings of Zecharia Sitchin, particularly his book The 12th Planet. According to Sitchin's interpretation of Babylonian religious texts, a giant planet called NIBIRU passes by Earth every 3,600 years and allows its sentient inhabitants to interact with humanity. These beings, which Sitchin identified with the Anunnaki of Sumerian myth, would become humanity's first gods. My favorite internet encyclopedia says there's supposed to be a collision. The NIBIRU collision is a disastrous encounter between the Earth and a large planetary object. Believers in this doomsday event usually refer to this object as Planet X, or NIBIRU.
The doomsday event?
Thundar, the Barbarian. The year 1994. From out of space comes a runaway planet, hurtling between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction. Man's civilization is cast in ruin. Earth Earth is reborn. A strange new world rises from the old. A world of savagery, super science, and sorcery. But one man bursts his bonds to fight for justice. With his companions, Ukla the Mock and Princess Ariel, he pits his strength, his courage, and his fabulous sun's sword against the forces of evil. He is Thundar, the Barbarian.
Now, what they're going to do is they have to have martial law before this hits the fan.